Good afternoon and welcome. We've got a second day of European action today in the SPL. We're going to get right to it. A slew of exciting matches. A Fantastique Dignitas going to start off our day today. We saw Fantastique really take the step up yesterday.
It's going to be evenly matched between these two teams, both at 4 points at the moment with an even record, 1 win, 1 split, and 1 loss. Fantastique going into this split with a newer roster. Wasn't expected to have this kind of result. Dignitas, however, they've been kind of struggling. They've faced against Energy and split against Cyclone in their last match.
Exactly. Dignitas, I don't know. Dignitas is a little bit rough. I kind of expected more out of them, but perhaps it's a little unfair to expect much out of a team that's adjusting, right? New solo laner, Suntouch shifting over position, so maybe give them a couple of games to get their feet underneath them. But as I said, Fantastique really surprised a lot of us. I think we saw that there was, what's it called? Emilzy was out, but even still, Cringe Crew just could not hold a candle to what Fantastique had.
Ever since the comeback with Jermain stealing the Fire Giant, I think from there on out, that set belonged to Fantastique, and they carried on over in the second game.
Yeah, it was. I'm still laughing about the Rom laugh, man. When he goes up, that I will watch that highlight over and over again. Basically, the Fire Giant goes down really low. You got to watch the VOD. Rom steals it with a single shot of the ult, and then just spams laugh in typical Rom fashion. We'll see if it happens again. Jermain certainly likes his Rom. Dignitas taking on Fantastique. We'll get into the picks and bans right away and see where these players are going to wind up and where the teams, more importantly, Fantastique with the first selection.
You know, immediately after that Rom play, you know who followed Jermain, right?
Who?
Marvels. Marvels followed Jermain on Twitter, and that's how you know you made it as a Rom player.
You gotta make the flashy plays and get recognized by the Marvels himself. Fantastique with the first pick and the first ban. They have been really focusing on getting. It's interesting. I think week number 1 they were focusing on getting nulisa very comfortable in that mid lane. A lot of action going on there. But looking at the picks and bans from last time around, they kind of gave Dardez and Jermain real pick of the litter.
If you can give Dardez and Jermain, this duo lane that's been playing together for so long, an aggressive composition in the early game, they're going to be able to open the door for the rest of the team to be able to get these early objective on gold.
Yeah, so we'll see how that one works out. Freya, the ban against Team Dignitas. Suntouch has proven very successful with the magical hunters, and a lot of people have been asking him, hey, or a lot of people have been asking to see some traditional hunters out of him. So Fantastique going to take away the Freya, and you know, Suntouch's God pool notwithstanding, his Freya is one of the best, so absolutely have to take that off the table. Nemesis Fafnir banned across the way.
Especially with the Freya buff to her second ability, increasing the duration by 1 second. It makes her late game that much more devastating. And then Susano going to get first pick for WorldEdit, having a lot of sustain off the bat in the jungle.
Yeah, he's done relatively well this season. WorldEdit, previously known as Jiffy on Fnatic last time around, struggled a little bit. What could you tell us about Jiffy's sort of inaugural split, as you were kind of close to those guys before?
Jiffy before in the past with Fnatic specifically, he would have a lot of moments of brilliance, and then he would have other times of like questionable plays where he would go too aggressive, and that's the play style that he's developed for Fantastique in general. He's trying to make these kinds of plays, and which is why we'll see nulisa sometimes play this ISIS to try to synergize with the aggressiveness from WorldEdit.
And that aggressive nature has really paid off so far for Fantastique. Like I said, and it has fit in very well with the other 3 guys. We mentioned nulisa and WorldEdit a lot. They came sort of as a package into this ex-Myrmidon crew of Dardez, Jermain, and MoGoW over there in the solo lane. And they've really been able to mesh well because, well, they're all really aggressive, and it kind of really helps out.
Dignitas selecting Raijin and Bacchus, which is a great mid support combination, whereas Fantastique, they're sticking to their guns with this dueling between Ram and the Sobek.
I mean, you want to talk about aggressive, right? Sobek into a Ram. Maybe not minute 1 aggression, but certainly as the game gets underway, that mid-game going to be blessed by the Ram and how powerful he can be, especially towards the late game. Dignitas have one more selection, and it's going to be the Thor.
I like this selection because we haven't really seen a lot of Thor from FrostiaK. He's been electing to go other gods, but we've known him to play Thor in the past, recently in the previous splits. In this split, he's electing for different options, though.
Yeah, we'll see where he goes. the Ares banned out by Team Dignitas, so they think that Fantastique might take Sobek into the solo lane one more time. MoGoW has done that a number of times, so certainly an option on the table. Arlong Shen will be banned out, and Giannis, so a god that nulisa has done very, very well with. We saw nulisa not afraid to be aggressive, but also creative with the use of portals and allowing her teammates to get in and out of trouble. Really helpful, so Dignitas doesn't want to see that element of the game today.
It's a smart ban, taking away the mobility from Fantastique. You already have Susano that you have to worry about coming out of the jungle, probably the highest mobility jungler without globals, mentioning that. So pairing that with the Giannis is very scary. On top of this, you can also be able to counter gank anywhere the Thor goes.
So the Jing selection from Team Dignitas, we've seen more and more of this character. The passive very powerful. You're able to have this sort of semi-global ultimate. It's a little janky because you got to back first, but the passive works very well for Jing to really rotate throughout the map. Thor, of course, going to be doing that a little bit better, but having Jingwei's ability to sort of traverse the map a little bit nice. Vulcan and Odin, the old classic ring combo.
Wombo combo. Gonna be Odin for MoGoW. He loves the Odin and the Hades, these big circle ultimates that will also synergize with the Vulcan, coming out for nulisa this time to pair up with Susano.
Don't forget, though, the change to Phantom most recently. Odin used to be pretty tough to get through because, well, the only one that could do it without a jump was pretty much just Osiris, I think, give or take. And then we introduced Phantom, which allows you to walk through it. And now the whole team gets affected by Phantom. So that's one of the newer changes, the newest changes to Smite. So definitely going to be looking at Team Dignitas to start building into that Phantom.
It's going to be interesting to see if it's going to be a support, if it's going to be BigManTingz to pick up the Phantom. Now, granted, he can already belly flop away from the cage, but if he's going to be aggressive onto Fantastique, he won't have the belly flop, so having that secondary relic on the Phantom will also allow the rest of his team to escape.
Yeah, we'll see which direction he'll go, as BigManTingz hasn't even purchased the relic just yet, just out there warding. And again, we had a little conversation yesterday about solo laners not buying teleport, even though it might be inevitable. Just no sense in showing you the information, even if it's easily assumed. Well, here, BigManTingz, he's out there warding. If anybody catches him out there on the jungle, they'll be able to catch vision and get information about what he's building. Without having that relic slot available, you just eliminate Fantastique, planning for whatever you have 30 seconds in advance.
Especially if you catch Dardez with a curse, then you want to instantly counter that with a sprint. Regardless if you wanted meditation or shell, you have to counter that important relic. And on the side of solo laners, whenever they go teleport, it's not necessarily right off the bat that you have to go teleport, but there are some strategies that you can implement with teleport at level 1 where you go for blue to speed to mid harpies and then you teleport back to the solo lane, which will give you a huge experience gap over your opposition.
Yeah, we've seen that a number of times, more on the European side, but very creative stuff can come out. Not too much this season, however. Players have been really trying to focus on. Sometimes that hog, or the wrath, excuse me, is desirable over there in the solo lane, so you'll see players try to make it last as long as possible. But Dignitas gonna make it to lane about the same time as their opposition. You can see it's taking a while to clear these hogs, but same thing across the way. And Ram and Sobek will make it to lane just about the same time as Suntouch and Bacchus.
This could be a very aggressive matchup like we talked about. Dardez and Jermain, they love to fight. They've been playing together for so long. Suntouch and BigManTingz, they're not afraid to fight either, though.
Absolutely not. Suntouch, definitely one of the more aggressive players. I really like watching his Freya. Always get upset when it gets banned out. But Jing still a very active character. She can jump around in the team fight a lot by use of agility and all those other options. So it's a lot of fun to watch this character.
We didn't talk about why Suntouch actually picked up Jing. It was to counter the Sobek a little bit. If he ever gets plucked, he can instantly agility on the opposite side, and not having to worry about the Willish to get pulled back in makes it a really smart idea to have a safe hunter there.
Yeah, one of the only counters to knockups really in the game is the agility out of the Jing. So we'll likely see that on display. Dardez finding the flip, and then like that, Jing turns around and doesn't even have to use it, honestly, just saving the mana. Just walks right on back into behind the minions, avoiding the shots out of Jermain as well.
And now, as a result, Dignitas has the wave advantage, could continue to play aggressive under the tower line. The 2v2 in middle is still in the lane. There's no MIA calls right now because they have a perfect ward on the bottom left mid harpies to spot out Fantastique.
Both lanes here in the mid lane, both teams have a lot of options as far as the distance closers, right? You've got that grab that we see out of WorldEdit right there. So ShadowNightmare's got to be on his toes. But at the same time, Fantastique also has to be very aware that Raijin with the Thunder Crash certainly can cover a lot of ground very very quickly.
A lot of aggressive options for both teams. More safer, I would say, on the side of Dignitas because of the Thor long-range setup. The Raijin doesn't have to commit with Thunder Crash. The Thor doesn't have to commit with his hammer. He can just throw it out for poke.
nulisa does have some poke on her side. I mean, you've got the meatball, of course, the turret. Paint somebody with the backfire starts doing a lot of damage. So there's a little bit of poke on both sides, I say, totally.
I would say so. It's just the fact that WorldEdit has to be a little bit closer than FrostiaK.
That's the key right there, is the difference between the junglers. FrostiaK certainly has the long-range hammer poke, and Thor, one of the better junglers, actually, in my mind, when it comes to just being able to poke. Whether you find that stun or not, a good double tap will certainly be pretty devastating. nulisa going to go ahead and clear out some of these minions, but I think Dignitas gets credit for the elementals over there by the fire giant, and nulisa and WorldEdit will just go right back to lane.
FrostiaK still level 4, Fantastique. They could have taken advantage of this after they cleared the mid wave. Thor without an ultimate makes it very easy to go on.
There's a good flip onto the support. BigManTingz getting slowed out thanks to the ultimate out of Dardez. Fantastique looking for the first blood here, but it's going to be turned around. Ultimate out of BigManTingz, and a little bit of damage shown his way will send the support packing, but a lot of poke being put on both sides of the dual lane.
Nice invade coming out of Dignitas during the speed buff. There was no positional awareness from Fantastique.
Yeah.
They backed to finish off the warrior tabby, whereas FrostiaK, he backed out earlier, which is why he wasn't level 5 at the time, but now invading off of that speed puts him at level 6. WorldEdit just now hitting 6.
And I love the Dignitas vision here. Look at that right here. Look at that right across the board. You can see on both entrances to the speed buff, you've got sort of just these turnstiles where if you're going to walk past it, Dignitas is going to know, and more importantly, if you don't, Dignitas will know. So they see that the speed buff is open, and Dig are able to go ahead and just invade Fantastique's jungle for no contest.
It looks like blue buff invade, gonna force out
Trouble
the
for
Odin
MoGoW.
ultimate. Cannot jump away. Ducky finding the Fearless against the wall.
Just a nice old combo there. FrostiaK coming on down. Ducky able to follow suit and put MoGoW down for the count. That's going to be our first kill and the first blood of the game, giving Dignitas a 500 gold bounty, and they find themselves very quickly starting to amass a lead.
Great play from Dignitas, and the one option that Fantastique had was to invade the red off of the speed buff invade, but the dual lane from Dignitas, they grabbed the red buff. They didn't pick it up. They wanted to leave it open for ShadowNightmare, but Fantastique were zoning them away from picking it up. So either way, they still get the golden experience, just not the actual buff on red.
So not able to really find everything, just a little bit here or there. Fantastique certainly not too discouraged by giving up a first blood. MoGoW has actually given up a couple of first bloods. We've seen him falter in the laning phase a little bit. What about his laning phase do you think needs work, or nothing at all? Am I just misreading it?
It's very difficult for Odin in the early laning phase against gods with crowd control, whether it's a tier, a Thor specifically. You could potentially cancel out that Odin bird bomb jump if you time it very efficiently to cancel the damage to clear the wave.
Yeah, it was very, very interesting watching these players really start out and create an identity for themselves. MoGoW kind of on round 2 of that. He came in last season or last split for the Myrmidons, and it wasn't even the commentators that were building him up here. It was really the European scene that was all excited about MoGoW's Hades and MoGoW's Ra and MoGoW's Hercules, and that very quickly did not prove anybody too successful. So now MoGoW adapting to a more traditional god pool this time around, trying to reforge sort of that presence around the league.
Pluck onto ShadowNightmare. The Sanctuary is too early, rather, and ShadowNightmare just barely avoiding that Vulcan ult.
Nice shot out of nulisa, and it's going to help ShadowNightmare take out Dardez. There's a great knockup from WorldEdit and nulisa, but Dardez, as we said, fell down before he could really impact that situation. nulisa had a nice shot, but it just wasn't enough to keep the players off of Dardez, and so Fantastique see their second player fall down in 6 minutes.
FrostiaK doing a great job counter-engaging off of the pluck immediately from Dardez, using the ultimate, and luckily enough, the ShadowNightmare was able to avoid the Vulcan ultimate. Look at this, they're grouping up for another speed buff invade. MoGoW and WorldEdit, they're here, but they don't really have the tools to get the kills.
Jumping in is going to be MoGoW. Can't find the damage, however. Good knock up one more time from the Vulcan, but Ducky's the one to capitalize. WorldEdit falls down again. ShadowNightmare very low, and nulisa finds the long-range backfire. Ducky still surrounded by 3 players in blue. Fantastique trying to find the kill. 3-man and Fearless, but it's not enough. MoGoW answers back and puts down Ducky.
Trading 2 of your own lives for a speed buff invade at the 6.5 minute mark, favoring Fantastique. Now they can get a lot of experience in mid, in the duo, and in solo. It's going to allow MoGoW to catch up. He's already a level behind.
Yeah, this is a very, very good play for Fantastique. You saw after that play, everything all about even. 1,000 gold separating the teams, but what you said is more important. It's after the fact. What can the team find? Jermain over here making the rotation. Fantastique will get both of these mid harpies, which still very important. The first, I'd say 3 or 4 spawns of the mid harpies are almost some very big objectives.
You want to be able to share the objectives with your jungler, WorldEdit, making the rotation in mid lane. No, listen, nowhere to go. Purification was used away from the tier of Fearless and finding an easy, clean kill.
And that's what exactly supposed to happen to a Vulcan by themselves. You'll see in this meta currently a lot of the time, if not all of the time, the mid laner holding hands with the jungle support or both. And when a character like Vulcan, or we see Zeus is picked up as well, a character without that strong escape like the Raijin across the way, that character's supposed to die.
Yeah,
so down from the sky comes Thor.
It's impossible for a Vulcan to get away from Thor because the meatball doesn't mini-stun the way it used to. So as a result, during the Berserker barrage, there's no way to knock him back. There's guaranteed damage for FrostiaK to just consistently damage nulisa, especially if he finds a nice stun, pinning her against the wall.
And on to the fact that ShadowNightmare is just sitting there dishing his entire kit into the poor Vulcan underneath the tower. Easily killed, certainly the way it's supposed to go. So Dignitas take out the mid laner, still maintaining their 1,000 gold lead, looking for something else. Will it come in the dual lane? Jermain versus Suntouch. It's a good matchup here between the two hunters. I think this is a really fun, evenly matched as far as skills concerned, and both players certainly want to be aggressive.
Rama has to back, though. He doesn't have that much of a power spike. He just now finishing off the warrior tabby, wanting to match the mobility coming out of Suntouch. Having that much gold in hand, you don't want to take those 1v1 hunter duels.
Exactly, and that'll push him a little bit ahead of Suntouch as far as his raw power is concerned. Boots 3 over Boots 2, but I'm sure we see Suntouch backing right now, and with the passive, he should come to lane pretty much ready to go ahead and fight.
Especially with the back left harpies respawning. This is the beauty of the Jing way. You're going to be able to consistently get all the respawns of your back harpies and be on top of the Rama, where sometimes he'll have to consider, like, do I have time to really get these back left harpies before I have to defend the wave under tower?
Yeah, so just the smoother way back onto the map. And FrostiaK now thinking about making a play onto Jermain. FrostiaK has had a much better game today than he has lately. Jermain not going to be the focus. Instead, it'll be the Gold Fury. Already half down. FrostiaK takes to the sky, who sees coming around. And it's going to be Jermain, but taking it down already. Fantastique.
They stole it! They stole it, and he's laughing again!
Wow, Jermain.
He stole it.
Just the basic. That was so casual, it did not even occur to me that that was a possibility that Fantastique took it. Jermain takes it right from out of the sky with a basic. So there are moments when you got to let the game speak for itself. Whenever Jermain makes a play like that, he's going to laugh. Absolutely. Well done, Jermain. Rough stuff.
So Dignitas, they wanted to force the Gold Fury because they saw the ward. They saw all of they saw all of Dignitas going towards the speed buff. They knew nobody was in position except for Jermain. At worst, they had to worry about the ultimate from Jermain, but it was even worse than that. It was just a basic astral arrow that stole the gold.
Did he even have the astral arrow on?
I think he did.
I think it was just a hot shot basic. Fantastique feeling themselves after that play. That actually tied the game up, and Dignitas know it. So there's the initiation. Knock him into the damage. Dardez and nulisa take down BigManTingz. Dignitas have to be feeling some kind of way after that play. Fantastique with a nice sequence.
They're coming back into the game after this Gold Fury steal. Dignitas were making some nice offensive plays, finding kills whenever they needed to, and Fantastique, now they're going to be able to get back into this game, synergizing with Susano and Vulcan. This is a nice power spike. Once Vulcan hits around level 13, you get the level 3 ultimate. WorldEdit's going to be able to set her up quite nicely.
So yesterday, Cringe Crew leading the game. Now, much different, well, a little bit of different story. Cringe Crew leading the game for almost 20 minutes, right? Fire Giant gets stolen pretty much accidentally by Jermain, and despite a giant lead for Cringe Crew, Fantastique able to come on back just by momentum alone. You know, this could be one of those things. That play in the mid lane, that was not a good fight for Dignitas, but they take it anyway, wanting to fight back against that momentum. You know, Fantastique, this is a team, very young. I think it's hard to really paint an identity on them yet, totally, but this is a team that works well off of hot spark catalysts like that.
And that's what you really want out of a newer team also, to make the offensive plays, to not be discouraged if you get behind early, to still stay in the game. Like you mentioned against Cringe Crew, they were not discouraged the whole time around. Jermain was able to bring it back for them, and Jermain now being able to steal that goal fury, now he's feeling very confident to take these little 1v1 skirmish duels.
Yeah, Jermain, I mean, he's the man of, I would say the hour, but he's the man of the weekend, getting the steal both yesterday and today here, even flashier this time around, and that's going to be the Rom laugh, I think now just belongs to Jermain at this point.
Oh, absolutely. There's no other laugh that I'm going to be thinking of every time I hear VEL coming out of Rom. Jermain with the Fire Giant steal and now the Gold Fury steal. He's about to be legendary.
You know, we were sitting here before we went live on the cast, and I'm sitting here talking to Toli, just laughing, thinking about Rom after the steal. Jermain getting those laughs after the fact, making fun of it, thinking that it would happen again today. Who would have thunk? Dardez finds a good flip. The jump going to be interrupted for the moment, but BigManTingz, this is the all-in from Fantastique. The hot call and the hot play. Nulisa fires the hot shot, and it takes down BMT.
This is the power spike that we were talking about between WorldEdit and Alyssa. They now have their level 3 ultimates. BigManTingz not that tanky, only level 10, having Sovereignty finish with the Mad Guy's boots, so he was an easy target for Fantastique.
MoGoW makes the rotation, stopping the mage in the ring, gonna cut him down and bring him not down just yet. Nulisa finds the kill. I think it was right after the ultimate fell, so no bonus for the Odin, but FrostiaK trying to help out his team. Lands on top behind Nulisa. Sanctuary going to be over, and the Fearless will do it. Nulisa, sit down.
Ducky confirming the kill in the backhand side. Susano barely able to escape away from Suntouch, and now Ducky landing onto Jermain, finding the slow, not going with the Fearless, but forcing out the Sanctuary.
And I like the play by Dardez, protecting his dual lane partner. Finds a flip onto the jungler. It's going to be the Birdbot on top. Sanctuary knocked up, as well as FrostiaK finds a way over the wall, but two players tossed into it. Jump in by Dig support, and BigManTingz takes down Dardez. Fantastique trying to answer back, but Dignitas come right back just as hard.
The team fight lasted so long that the first kill was BigManTingz, and the last kill was by BigManTingz. Beautiful rotation, finding a nice double Fearless, intoxicating the last kill. Unfortunately for Fantastique, they weren't able to find FrostiaK, but that was a nice recovery.
Yeah, just stuck around a little bit too long. Fantastique's MoGoW, 1-on-3, gonna get tossed around underneath his own tower, but locks in Ducky. Not gonna be enough as the rotation from Dignitas is strong. 3 plus FrostiaK equals 4. And it looks like Dignitas want to at least retreat at this moment. They started to sort of look towards the tower, but once they realized the minions, they had a whole wave, they decided to wait it out. We'll see the play into the left jungle. Gold Fury not just spawned just yet.
That was a perfect Odin ultimate, preventing Ducky from escaping. He didn't have the Lawbringer, but it's a level 16 tier with Breastplate of Valor finished, Wingblade. On top of that, he was in his defensive stance, which gives him that extra protection.
So because of that one, Fantastique going to still wind up on the bottom side of the card for now, trailing by about 1,000 as we're 15 minutes into this one. Dignitas now, Gold Fury has spawned. They can go ahead and make a look towards it and hope, well, a stray arrow doesn't take it away from them like the last time.
If I was Dignitas, I would be thinking about that last Astral Arrow and I'd be like, okay, we're not going for gold until we know there's no possible way that anybody's within a 1-mile radius of us.
Hey, Toli, what was the first item for ShadowNightmare? You see what I'm seeing over here for the Raijin. There's a break in between the Soulstone and the boots. Did he sell something?
It might have been a misclick, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't catch it. I'll have to look towards the VOD a little bit earlier. Might have just sold one of his tiny trinkets or something after he changed his mind to go into a Warlock Sash. It's Fantastique, certainly paying a lot of attention in that mid lane. Jermain getting aggressed on, a lot of damage going his way, brought down to about 1/4 of HP. Suntouch going to be caught up with and uses his ultimate to find an exit. Different story for WorldEdit, surrounded by 3. Nulisa shoves out her ult, but it's not enough. WorldEdit takes a spill.
He tried to set up Nulisa, but getting caught out by 3 people. Jermain luckily surviving with a perfect purification, preventing the Bacchus spell flop this time around without Jermain's ultimate, and Jermain not coming around. No Vulcan broken ultimate either. Dignitas feeling confident to start up this gold.
FrostiaK takes to the sky and not going to go the way. Gold Fury goes down and it's Dignitas. See, I got excited just in case.
Good job, F.
Got excited just in case.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's going to be Dignitas' Gold Fury trying to get back into the lead that they had duo in the duo lane right now. It's going to be Suntouch having to retreat.
I thought Jermain might have been able to find that cripple, but just a little bit too slippery is Suntouch. And so yeah, going back to it, I like the adaptation from ShadowNightmare. Building into the tiny trinket, I think obviously he wanted to build something a little bit more aggressive, but saw that there was a lot of attention in the mid lane.
He wanted to also finish off the power spike of getting the Warlock Sash as quickly as possible, start building those stacks. Team fights are happening so frequently that he's not been able to officially stack it up. And now ShadowNightmare from behind, MoGoW going to jump on it into the mid lane, finding the cage. Typhoon forcing the Sanctuary though.
Big commitment, but really just looking for the relics and perhaps the ultimate, able to find both. Dignitas is a mid laner, and well, the only one with the ultimate is Ducky, and really Lawbringer is not really one of those ultimates. When I see tier with a blink, I think the blink is more the ultimate than the fearless. You know what I mean? Or the Lawbringer rather, because it's all about the movement, the mobility, and the surprise. And nobody's surprised when tier takes 12 hours to front flip over them. But blink behind you, 180 fearless, that'll catch you off guard.
Especially with Dardez finding BigManTingz in the mid lane, nowhere for him to go with nulisa, doing so much damage. FrostiaK was getting those left side mid harpies, so a bit of miscommunication on that front. FrostiaK still getting poked on and aggress. Missed a hammer teleport through the wall, and Jermain finding the solo onto Suntouch, and FrostiaK nowhere to go. Dardez getting his second kill.
Fantastique finding scattered kills throughout the map, one to the jungle, one to the left. Jermain able to do whatever he wants to do over there on the left-hand side. The rest of Fantastique going to push out ShadowNightmare. Mid tower and left tower going to belong to Fantastique, but Dignitas have their name on the right side of the map. Tier not joining the fray, not joining the fight just yet. Takes out a tier 1, makes the teleport over, tries to find the blink fearless, and does. MoGoW shoved into the wall, but here comes Dardez, knocking up, and Ducky will find safety under the tower.
That was a great meatball by nulisa, preventing the continuation of the fearless combo from Ducky, having to disengage with that Lawbringer, getting the tier 1 mid, and now as a result, Jermain was putting pressure on that tier 2 on the left-hand side after finding that another impressive solo against Suntouch.
You know what, when it's hunters and solo laners have such a valuable upside, right? You can be on the best team in the world and just be a role player as far as those positions are concerned. But if you're able to step up and make these individual one-on-one confidence plays, like we see a lot of Jermain, able to solo pretty much whoever he puts his mind to, all of a sudden, Fantastique don't worry about that left side of the map at all, really, Toli. We routinely see Fantastique make plays in the mid and the solo side, and Jermain casually finds a 1v1 fight and either solos a Gold Fury, steals it, or takes out a tier 1 tower, and the team doesn't have to worry.
Dardez finding a nice pluck onto Ducky. He doesn't have Lawbringer, gonna get knocked up, but not much follow-up damage. nulisa wanting to hold on to her ultimate for a big objective play. Gold Fury is respawning in about a minute and a half. And going back into the dual lane, Jermain was a level behind at the time, and even forced out the Sanctuary of Suntouch, not having to use any relics of his own.
And it's just such a luxury to have that on the side of the map. There's trouble for the jungler, and nulisa takes out FrostiaK with a good 3-1 combo out of the meatball backfire spin. Great job coming out from Fantastique, specifically Dardez, to find the pluck.
FrostiaK didn't respect the pluck. He didn't use the purification at all. He was caught against 4 members from Fantastique. This gives a little bit of a power play because this is where the respawn timers start getting longer and longer. 25 seconds remaining for FrostiaK, so Fantastique, they're going for this tier 1 on right.
Yeah, they'll trade out with the left side. As you can see, Suntouch pushing over there by his lonesome against the tower. Sunny's going to get it for free, but same thing for the guys on the right side of the map. Jermain and his squad think about backing, but instead want to keep on pushing. Sunny's certainly going to do the same, so why should we change our minds? Jermain kind of blocked out, though.
It's going to be MoGoW teleporting to defend the tier 2 on the left. Suntouch going to invade the red buff. Gold Fury respawning in 45 seconds. Jermain casually going to walk over mid, get the mid wave, setting up for the Gold Fury soon.
And the Gold Fury going to spawn in a little bit. You can see that 30 seconds or so. Suntouch drops some vision. A lot of utility coming out from Suntouch here, getting the tower, stripping the jungle, putting down some vision, really making use of his time on the side of the map.
And with his aggressive style and nature, you have to be so careful with your positioning. If you don't have anybody around the corner to help you out, Jermain is going to exploit the 1v1 matchup. A nice blink pluck onto BigManTingz.
And he goes everywhere but the right spot. nulisa off the mark. Jermain finds one, can't find number two, but does dial down three. And here's the rest of Fantastique to put it in the ground. WorldEdit brings the team to double digits, and Fantastique on the retreat after taking out one.
Despite killing BigManTingz, they had to invest a lot of cooldowns for that one kill. 4 out of 5 ultimates were used, and Dignitas, they can force a team fight, I would say, with that many ultimates being down.
Which is why we see Fantastique shy away from the Gold Fury. Just a little bit of room, BigManTingz down, might be exciting and say, hey, the objective's available. Nobody from Dignitas here. And in all honesty, Fantastique might have had the damage to burst it down even without the ultimates. But nothing is guaranteed and nothing is free, and the risk versus reward, not quite worth it. Jermain, gonna test the limits of that, however.
Dignitas waiting around the corner, Suntouch with ShadowNightmare. They're going to try to use their ultimate combination to get Fantastique off of this gold.
And it'll shove everybody off. Dignitas now trying to focus on Dardez, and they get him successfully. Not even a team fight there. Dardez just gets poked out.
Yeah, he plucked, he missed, and as a result, Ducky found the easy fearless from behind, getting another kill with BigManTingz responding. Now it's a 5-on-4 play for Dignitas. FrostiaK doing a good job wrapping around underneath, trying to find a nice stun.
And there's just no options on the side of Fantastique, like we said. Dardez's ultimate comes up, but he's the dead one. nulisa, no choices. WorldEdit, no choices. Even Jermain, you know, lightning doesn't strike twice, doesn't want to go for the basic 2 times in a row. So Dignitas get the objective for free, and well, I guess they paid for it by taking out Dardez, but either way, certainly have a decent lead coming in here now, about 4,000 gold.
Yeah, it's at the 23-minute mark, though, so it's not the biggest thing in the world for Fantastique to fight back into. They're still having really solid team fights as long as they can synergize with either the pulls from WorldEdit to set up nulisa or the big ultimate cage from MoGoW.
Yeah, just a couple of options, but Dignitas able to really fight into most of them. Really no problem.
It's going to be Dignitas trying to force out this Fire Giant. It's already at half health, and I don't think Fantastique really know about this.
They absolutely don't, totally. Fantastique have been pushed so far back into the jungle that they can't see, hear, or even sniff out that this Fire Giant is happening. In fact, nulisa backed as soon as we saw Sunny starting on this. Fire Giant is going the way of Dignitas. Fantastique just not close enough. Even Jermain can't get that one.
FrostiaK was doing a great job yet again, baiting himself out, keeping Fantastique away from the perimeter of Fire Giant. Just no potential to steal it. Jermain wasn't close enough to use his ultimate. As a result, Dignitas, now they have a serious power play with his Fire Giant.
You know, I like how most teams, when they get zoned out of Fire Giant, they get pushed back into that little hallway between Speed and Blue Buff. If you want to zone out Fantastique, you got to push them to their back Harpies because you know what Jermain's going to do. I love to see how hard Dignitas really commit to that pushback, and you know that's that type of, you can't play against every team the same way. And knowing that Fantastique, sure, you know, one time it's luck, 2 or 3 times, now all of a sudden Jermain, nulisa, you guys have set something up that you know how to take these objectives, and Dignitas have to respect that. So pushing them all the way back.
There's a lot of options for Fantastique to steal between Jermain's ult, nulisa's ultimate. They have the blink on MoGoW and Dardez to try to get past the zoning, but overall, like we mentioned, FrostiaK doing great work underneath. Now Dignitas, they're grouped up on the left-hand side. They want to be able to get the most efficient Phoenix here.
nulisa trying to hide here alongside WorldEdit. You got to start thinking about some sort of ambush that Fantastique are thinking of. Dardez with a single pluck can shove somebody behind the tower, pulled back even further from WorldEdit. So Fantastique certainly thinking about a couple of things right here. You want to keep this tier in combat, though.
Yes, and it's going to be dependent on if Dardez finds the blink pluck, which is something that he's potentially looking for. He's waiting for somebody from Dignitas to overstep.
Can't really find the stun. BigManTingz, there's the pluck and the pullback coming from the jungler most likely, but BigManTingz able to find a way out. Damage coming out from the ultimate out of the mid lane. Down comes FrostiaK, and Jermain in a lot of trouble. Sanctuary going to save him for the moment, but Suntouch trying to catch up, can with the ultimate, and will turn around and look towards the tier 2.
And MoGoW using his ultimate, thought he was going to be able to trap Sunny, but unfortunately just off the mark. Tier 2 does fall, but not wanting to overextend. Going to be switching over to the mid lane, just extending this goalie, because they're not in late game 5-6 item form quite yet.
Yeah, just a little bit, one step away from that point, so Dignitas can't full-on commit to those objectives just yet. Ducky here. looking for an opportunity. Out of combat, finds the blink, fearless. Jermain pushed into the tower, gotta find a way out, but Suntouch does not allow. Number 9 for Dignitas. Underneath the waters is the Sobek, finds good poke, but MoGoW has to jump on back with the team. All 5 members of Dignitas alive and ticking up thanks to that Fire Giant buff. Fantastique, on the other hand, finds a way out, and Dignitas take down the tier 2.
Dardez and nulisa did so much damage with their ultimates onto BigManTingz, but that's not going to be enough because of the Fire Giant buff, and now they're going to aggress towards this middle Phoenix because of the fact that Jermain is dead.
And here's a little bit of a burp from BMT, finds a good stun, and the follow-up knockup is strong, and that's going to be it for WorldEdit.
And they're going to continue on to the aggression. Mid Phoenix will fall, first one of the game. Dignitas still a little weakened, half health about, but they're going to continue on to the aggression, switching over to the left side.
Yeah, even though they have the half health totally, they've got all 5 players up with the Fire Giant and only 3 players to really mess with these players' HP bars. There's to knock up on a Suntouch. Agility will help him out, but now Dardez in some trouble. The ultimate out of ShadowNightmare comes up a second time, and FrostiaK able to find the last hit onto the target. Suntouch Sanctuary saves his life away from MoGoW. Ultimate makes him safe one more time, and 2 Phoenixes go down. Dignitas take the lead 11-10 in kills, and they maintain their gold lead over 10,000.
Jermain tried to find the cleanup kill onto Suntouch with his ultimate, but because Sunny's ultimate just came up in time, it bought him enough distance needed to separate the gap, walking away with his life. And now with those 2 Phoenixes down, Dignitas 11,000 rather in the lead. They should be able to close this one out very soon.
Yeah, Suntouch with a very clean game. Clean is definitely the word I want to use here.
Other than the solo death.
Yeah, I mean, 2-1 and 3 gets soloed by Jermain, and that loses the tower and honestly a bunch of a tier 2. But as far as the team fights have been concerned and the objective, very clean game coming out from Suntouch, able to wiggle his way through these team fights the way a Jing way is supposed to. And I like when players play the actual character they're going for. You're going to pick an Apollo, go ahead and split push. You're going to be an Eth, use that ultimate every time it's up. You're going to be a Jing Wei, make sure that you make use of the agility, pop in and out of the team fight, and Suntouch has been one of the more slippery players, and at the same time, sitting up at top of that player damage chart.
Which is surprising, the fact that Fantastique didn't play as aggressively as we thought they would have in the duo lane, especially with Jermain and Dardez on the Sobek Rama combination. Suntouch survived for so long, he got to the late game form, and that's why he was the one soloing Fire Giant, and the rest of his team was zoning.
Yeah, just had all that farm, all that power, and all that potential coming out for Team Dignitas. Fire Giant has respawned, and Dignitas do have the footing, but looking more for the fight than the objective, I would say.
They want to make sure that they flood in the left side and middle with the Fire Minions before they really go for their next push. Fire Giant has respawned. They could go for the tier 2. It is rather weak. That could also zone out the members from Fantastique to be able to defend this. But it's going to be Suntouch yet again, soloing the Fire Giant while the rest of his team is doing a great job zoning.
Nice combination as the Fearless not going to be on the mark, but Ducky still can't catch up to Jermain. ShadowNightmare 2 shots out of 4, and Jermain hits 2 out of 3. Sanctuary going to save number Trace, and here comes the problems for ShadowNightmare. WorldEdit on the backside, but he's by himself. Jermain down, WorldEdit down. nulisa in some trouble as FrostiaK tried to surround her, knocked up by BigManTingz, and here's the fight from Team Dignitas. Dardez going to be taken out by Suntouch as well. 2 players alive for Fantastique. Dignitas now pushing into the throne room, and the Order Titan in trouble. This one going to go the way of Team Dignitas unless Fantastique can pull something fancy out of their pockets.
It's only MoGoW and nulisa defending this. A lot of members are rather low, though, on the side of Dignitas. FrostiaK having to disengage ShadowNightmares in the yellow. They were zoned away from the Fire Giant because a great sacrificial play from Dardez. We saw Suntouch chasing them down at the end. As a result, this time's going to live for a little bit longer, but I don't see this lasting more than 2 or 3 minutes once Dignitas does confirm this Fire Giant.
Exactly. You can see the minions already coming into the base, bringing the Titan down to about 80% HP. That Fire Giant going to be relatively uncontested because Fantastique, they've got to play cleanup. They've got two waves of Fire minions coming down these lanes. So the Fire Giant going the way of Team Dignitas. And after that one, they're going to group up and likely see the push on the right side of the map as there are still structures available.
Yeah, the mid Phoenix will about to respawn in 30 seconds or so, so you have some time to split push on the right, group up with your team, get some more sustain off of this Fire Giant buff. Look for those gods that don't have the relics, and nulisa, she used her Purification and Sanctuary when FrostiaK was diving.
Yeah, it's got a minute plus left before that Vulcan is safe one more time. So the mid Phoenix has respawned. Dignitas will shade over that way and just see how quickly they can take it down. There is a wave of fire minions here available. MoGoW as well, gonna walk in. Ducky now taking the tower. There's the burn from BMT, just to zone the players out. And as soon as the Hunter shows up, Phoenix should be in trouble, but the ring comes down. MoGoW makes good use. Here's the ultimate from nulisa. Off the mark, not going to do much of anything, but the mid Phoenix falls down.
Ducky took a lot of poke in return, though, trying to zone out the members, confirming the middle. Phoenix has to regain some health off of his defensive stance, power cleave, as well as the fire giant. Left side Phoenix has respawned, and that's where Dignitas are leaning their forces to. They don't want to force the right-hand side. They just want to keep getting these respawned, weakened Phoenixes.
Exactly. It's just take the path of least resistance for Team Dignitas at this point. Beerless going to be off the mark by Ducky. Can't find the quick turnaround on a WorldEdit. FrostiaK forced out early as well. There's a blink from WorldEdit himself. Nice knock-up, and there's a flip coming out of Sobek onto BigManTingz. He's in trouble, he's caught in. FrostiaK in the sky, BigManTingz in the ground. Up top and downtown comes the Thor. Can't find a way out. He's knocked up against the tower, but Suntouch takes it out, plus the mid lane nulisa.
And FrostiaK very low, barely able to escape from Jermain's ultimate. Jermain doing so much damage. Suntouch does fall. ShadowNightmare finds a return kill, though. It's going to be 3 members dead from Fantastique. Fire minions still flooding in from mid. FrostiaK having to push that out, but he can't really commit to this last Titan siege without the rest of his team.
Yeah, Dardez did it once. He led Dignitas on a wild goose chase. Dignitas not likely to fall for it one more time. Instead, you're going to find WorldEdit, force out the purification. ShadowNightmare in the ultimate, can't find the kill out of the jungler. Now
Dardez crushes down. He has nowhere to go. That's going to be a kill for Dardez, and now that's going to delay Dignitas from being able to close it out again.
A second time. Fantastic with a great defensive set. You know, I said this was going to go the way of Dignitas unless Fantastic could pull something out of their pocket. And these defensive sets are exactly what I was talking about. This happens one more time. All of a sudden, the gold differential is pretty much irrelevant. It becomes, can Fantastic defend the Phoenixes instead of the Titan? And then you've got an even game one more time.
However, looking at the Titan health from Fantastic, it's about half health or so. This could be an easy dive from Dignitas.
Exactly.
All they have to do is just commit all their forces. We saw it in previous games where there was a loop-de-loop around. They forced a team fight around the jungle side, and then there was a global from Ratatasker that found the Titan.
Well, I was actually surprised we didn't see that just then. I think if ShadowNightmare, you know, commits the ultimate onto the Titan, that, I don't know. I thought we could have seen the all-in. I thought it was coming that next engagement, but not going to be the case here. Team Dignitas, they need to make another shot towards the actual Titan to take this game.
I expect Dignitas to just dive this Titan outright. They have 3 very tanky frontline characters, and then you have the long-range artillery from ShadowNightmare. His damage alone is going to be able to confirm the Titan as long as he's going to be able to get behind that middle Phoenix, in between that wall and the middle Phoenix. All he has to do is sit there with his ultimate while the rest of his frontliners are zoning.
Yeah, that's the game plan. We'll see if it changes from paper to practice. Dignitas to the right side sends their mid laner. ShadowNightmare by himself could be dangerous, but with as many minions are coming down the lane, Fantastic just focused on the mass of players in front of them. 4, to be precise. You can see WorldEdit and nulisa hanging out on the left side towards the mid. Everybody else on Fantastic shading over to the right side.
ShadowNightmare forcing out 2 members from Fantastic in middle. This gave Dignitas a slight opportunity to go and aggress. Ducky not on the mark with that blink fearness, tucking his tail between his legs, having to walk away.
And Dig gonna try to aggress on the right-hand side. ShadowNightmare stuck in the cage. Great knockup coming out of WorldEdit, and nulisa over the top finds Suntouch and puts down ShadowNightmare with the help of Dardez. Fantastic on the counterattack now, pushing Dignitas off of the front lawn. Mid Phoenix about to respawn. Right, still up. And pushing up the lane is going to be Fantastique. And they take the defense one more time. That's 3 for 3 and it's only. Dignitas have not been able to penetrate Fantastique's throne room.
Fire Giant is respawning in 20 seconds. Suntouch and ShadowNightmare will still be dead for 20 seconds minus their respawn timers. And look at this, nulisa pushing out mid-wave, trying to make sure the fire minions aren't going to be anywhere close to that Titan. Mid Phoenix has respawn left, will respawn in about a minute to a minute and a half, and that's going to allow this Titan to start regaining some health, which will give a lot of flexibility for Fantastic to leave their base.
Exactly. It's the first time Fantastic has been really able to walk off the block in maybe 5-10 minutes solely. They've been stuck in their base, even to the point allowing Dignitas to take the fire giant. This time around, if Dignitas try to go for fire, there's going to be a little bit of a fight over it. Ducky brought very low. Thanks to a couple of good procs, Jermain, no ultimate available to really commit hardcore to that one. WorldEdit just did come up, so look for the cage knock-up combo with Fantastique. Get into any trouble.
Has to be so careful. We saw on the left-hand side, WorldEdit was pushing to make sure there was no fire minions that was going to be able to take out that weakened respawn Phoenix, and now Fantastique, they're getting to their own late-game form. We see a lot of members with fully finished items. We see that MoGoW hasn't really finished off his items because of how expensive his builds are.
And this is pretty much just a classic example of how to play defense, right? Fantastique, the first time around, give a lot up and just sort of cross their fingers. The second time around, they fight into it, they lean into the punch, and they're able to defend a little bit. The third time, they isolate a target and they go for it. Still not enough to protect the Fire Giant just yet, Anatoly, but Dignitas with the Fire Giant one more time. Fantastique have done it 3 times in a row. Can they make it 4?
They need to commit better, Dignitas, if they want to clean out this game. Ducky cannot miss a Blink Fearless the same way he did on the right-hand side. They need to force out the Purifications and Sanctuaries to allow ShadowNightmare to really get that long-range kill confirmed, especially if you are going against nulisa. Her ultimate, that last mid-game or mid-Phoenix engagement, just blew up Dardez completely.
Perfectly on the mark. Stuck in the ring. Just the good old 1-2 punch of the Vulcan Odin. Now, going to be on the employment on the middle lane. Dignitas shifting over to the left-hand side now. Remember, both left and mid Phoenixes are a little bit easier to kill.
Left-hand side, they're grouped up. Dignitas, they want to be able to force themselves into this Titan room. It has regained all of its health, so a lot more difficult than it was before, but they're going to do a good job zoning in middle. Those 2 members, now they can aggress on the left hand.
And there's a jump forward coming out for the guys on Dignitas. Great knock-up and the dash forward and the ring coming out from MoGoW over the top, and Suntouch just barely going to avoid the damage out of nulisa. ShadowNightmare still has his ultimate available, so does BMT, and that's where they're going to go. Right down the middle. WorldEdit takes it all to the dome, and he's going to sit down for a minute. Fantastique now fighting 4-on-5.
Perfect Thor wall, synergizing with ShadowNightmare's ultimate. Nowhere for WorldEdit to go. It's going to be a 5-on-4 as Dignitas moves into the mid lane. They have the opportunity to keep aggressing, but they're probably going to go for this right side Phoenix. They want to make this Titan easier to kill.
Exactly. Dignitas have had trouble so far. Now really looking to turn things around for themselves. Want to take everything off the map. You can see the towers have been taken down. 2 Phoenixes, all that remains. 1 Phoenix, and of course the Titan.
ShadowNightmare paired up with FrostiaK. Their ultimate is available on the side of the Thor. Going into the sky, trying to defend the right side Phoenix is
He's
fantastic.
looking to land right on Dardez. That cuts him off of the exit. And here comes Team Dignitas. Firebird still up, will finally take a spill. And a great wall coming out of FrostiaK will stop Dardez from exiting on the right side. MoGoW comes in as well. Dignitas now filtering in. 3 on the right, 2 in the mid. Still unable, or unwilling rather, to really commit to the Titan rush.
WorldEdit has respawned. Fire Giant still on all 5 members from Dignitas. They have their late game items. They should be aggressing, but they're going to be waiting for more minions to start flooding in, which could allow the Titan to take more poke as the team fight keeps occurring.
And of course, the minions create body blockers for the opposition. Should you try to find your basics, or even the turret, certainly going to be distracted by the minions. So Dignitas want all the tools they can gather here, Anatoly. And you can see this these right side minions coming in. Dignitas going to filter it along the same side. Here comes the ultimate and the damage. Jermain just eliminated in 1 knockup. WorldEdit finds a knockup for himself. The Titan's still very healthy. And Dignitas fighting Fantastique here. Can't seem to get it done.
FrostiaK in the sky, going to be landing onto that Titan. The ultimate from nulisa inside the cage. A nice knockup onto MoGoW, but the Titan is at less than half health. It's going to go down.
MoGoW takes out Ducky, however, Titan still falling. nulisa gets 2 kills, 100 health, and the Titan does fall down despite an answer back from Fantastique. Almost thought they were going to have that one, Tolly.
They were doing a great job holding. It was about 3 times in a row. Successful defense. Almost a 4th time. They found 3 out of 5 kills that they needed to at the very end there. Dignitas, they were really waiting for the perfect opportunity to commit. We saw them commit so heavily onto Jermain at the end there with a nice Intoxicate belly flop into ShadowNightmare's ultimate.
Yeah, just very fun stuff. Love to see the defense coming out of Fantastique, almost bringing it back, but in the end, winds up being Team Dignitas.
It was just a great job overall from utilizing Suntouch's late game damage onto the Fire Giant with great zoning from the rest of his team. The first time around, they snuck that Fire Giant, and that's where the door opened for them.
Yeah, right there, that was where Dignitas were able to amass a lead, and a lot of other things along the way wound up being highlight worthy.
Yeah, they were able to synergize with their support, finding the nice belly flops to synergize off of ShadowNightmare, as well as FrostiaK doing a great job going into the backline, utilizing the fact that they forced out the Purification and Sanctuary constantly from nulisa, and as well as Ducky on the tier was doing a good job diving.
Yeah, Dougie certainly was doing a fantastic job in the solo lane. But over here, we've got Jermain versus Suntouch here, just looking for the 1v1.
That was a nice cripple, which forced out the ultimate earlier on. Dardez found a kill onto BigManTingz, and this is where Jermain is doing a sneaky little play by utilizing this wall, and then finds a nice cripple and getting a Sanctuary use going into the sky. The agility was down from Suntouch, nowhere possible to escape.
And just that dead-eye accuracy. You see that all 3 shots hit, the 1-2 punch, and then the snap back into the jungle, just because. Why not? So well done coming out from the guys on Team Dignitas, finding the win. Let's take a look at some of the stats that helped them get there. This was the post-game stuff. You can see so much damage being dealt out by the mid-mages specifically on both sides of the battlefield.
Yeah, and both junglers were doing a great job synergizing to allow their mid-mages to get that kind of damage. And looking at the map and combat efficiency, Dignitas, they had the tie in terms of combat efficiency because they weren't really able to close it out as well as they wanted to, but map efficiency, they were doing a great job confirming these Fire Giant and Phoenixes.
And just to reintroduce these statistics to you folks, these are new in-house stats coming to you from the SPL in-house from hi-rez Studios. Map efficiency is going to be a nice mix. This is combat efficiency, and this will be a nice mix of damage, kills, first blood, healing assists, everything that makes you a good fighter. It all goes into an equation and comes out as the other end as a number, and this slew of information. It's a complicated statistic, and we bring that to you to tell you how well these players do and their teams do in controlling the jungle. So if we head back to our numbers before, the map efficiency and the combat efficiency, I'll give you a little bit of a basis to really come off of. So Team Dignitas had a fantastic map efficiency rating here of 112. And just to put that into reflection, the average is about 65. So almost double of what most teams are able to bring on the day-to-day as far as the map efficiency is concerned. And then the combat efficiency, both teams are fighting pretty well. The average so far in our past 2 weeks of the SPL has been 31. So stepping up a bit, a lot of high action coming out from both sides of the teams. 45 there, but really the standout point here is 115 map efficiency for the guys on Team Dignitas.
And I would say also, because of how long this game lasted, which is why you see these numbers be higher than average, because I would say the game duration was higher than average as well. I think it was 40-something minutes, but at the 10-minute mark, the game was basically even between Fantastique and Dignitas. This game didn't really go open for Dignitas until that Fire Giant from Suntouch.
Right, you can see this is map control at 10 minutes right here. Fantastique has the majority of it, believe it or not, able to take away a couple of jungle camps, and then as the game gets later and later towards that mid, you see the real Dignitas takeover and where that jump from average to highly above average with map control really starts to take shape. Look at those towers, right? Just map control 25, the towers just completely taken out by Dig.
That was where the Fire Giant happened. All the towers started going off the map for them. The Phoenixes started going off the board as well at the 30-minute mark. It's just Dignitas, they could have found some cleaner ways to enter the Titan room, but they wanted to play it super safe, and it was just overall a great hold from Fantastique, utilizing nulisa's long-range ultimate.
And again, take a look at this, the final map control, those red bars all very pushed onto the right side. Again, with the map efficiency of 115, almost double the average that we've found over the past 2 weeks here in the Smite Pro League. So very, very proficient team when it comes to taking out those objectives.
So that was the conclusion of the first game. Heading into the second game, is going to be Dignitas versus Fantastique. They have to switch up their strategy of what they really want to do, and I would say their picks and bans were pretty solid for the first game, so not really going to look into different strategies for that.
Yeah, I think